Do you shy away from difficult conversations? If so, you're in the right place. I'm Nancy Levin. Welcome back to my channel. This is the very best place to learn how to make yourself a priority and set boundaries that stick so you can step into center stage of your own life. Let's talk about difficult conversations and let's dive into what really is going on under the surface. So we can't discuss difficult conversations without first addressing the concept of conflict. So I believe conflict is simply an illumination of our differences. And we can learn how to cozy up to conflict instead of avoid it. Conflict is not about trying to get the other person over to our point of view or be pulled over to the other person's point of view. The reason difficult conversations feel so difficult is that we are not trusting the container of the relationship to hold us. So if we are fearing conflict, a couple of things are happening. We go to the extreme. We think if there's a conflict, you're going to leave me or you're going to fire me or whatever it might be. And we do everything we can to avoid any kind of ruffling of feathers or rocking the boat. We don't want to disturb the calm surface. So we think we are trying to avoid a fight or an argument. But what's really happening when we're avoiding conflict is we are avoiding taking a deeper look at the relationship itself. And if we were to take a deeper look at the relationship when we are so deeply fearing conflict, we will likely discover that the relationship itself is not healthy, that the relationship itself doesn't have room for my truth and yours, that in order for the relationship to work, I have to cross my boundaries or I have to acquiesce. That's not a true relationship. And so often we are skirting on top of the water, trying to keep the peace, trying to have harmony at all cost. But harmony at all cost comes at a very high cost. And since we don't want to look deeper, because if we do, we can't unknow what we see, we are constantly in this eggshell situation. We are constantly in the mind loop of what do I need to do or say to make everything be okay, instead of looking at the real truth that the relationship itself might need some attention and addressing around changes that we want to make. So what also happens in terms of difficult conversations is we get fixated on wanting to be understood. And I'm actually going to invite you to pause on that. Instead of trying to drive your point home and feel understood, instead, stay connected to what's true for you and honor that. So, in other words, what's most important in a difficult conversation is that you are able to express what's happening for you without pointing a finger or blaming the other person. This is not about being a victim. This is about expressing what's true for you, taking responsibility and stepping into empowerment. And it might be that the other person doesn't understand. And that is okay. You don't need anyone else's buy-in for what's true for you. And it's not your responsibility to manage someone else's response to your truth. So again, we avoid these difficult conversations because we tend to think that relationships are about harmony, that it's not okay to have differences. We avoid conflict because we don't really want to look at the truth of the relationship. There's so many layers here. So the first thing to do is really parse out for yourself what's really going on here. What do I need? What do I need to express? What's true for me? What am I hopeful of? What is my desired outcome? How can I share in service of that in a way that keeps me responsible? I also, when I'm talking about boundaries and difficult conversations really go hand in hand, I remind my clients and my students to stay connected to themselves, not to blame or victimize, not to blame someone else or victimize themselves. And the same goes here. When you're having a difficult conversation, prepare by having a sense of what you're going to say so it doesn't devolve into finger pointing. Have what I like to call in my boundary scripts a company line that you can return to. Know where you want the conversation to go from your perspective. Allow for feedback and impact. And here's something really important that no one is taught. If you need to take a break, take it. Let the other person know, hey, a lot is going on for me here. I'm feeling really activated. I'm going to go take a walk around the block and come back, and then we can continue. It's okay to take care of yourself in a difficult conversation. Remember that. So I hope that this has been supportive for you. I hope you'll begin to look at conflict as something that is not to be feared. I hope you will realize that if you're having a conversation with a loved one, it doesn't have to be difficult. And I also hope you'll remember that what's most important is that you honor your truth, not that you're understood. Thanks so much for joining me. Be sure to click the notification bell and subscribe so you are alerted the next time I post a video.